Hello, everyone. I am joined here today by UFC light heavyweight Chris Daukaus. Chris, how we doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, of course. So I wanted to ask, you said you first thought about the drop to 205 after the Lewis fight, but what made you
Yeah,
actually take the idea serious? Like, when did that idea start becoming a possible reality?
it was always a possible reality. It was just whether or not I could compete with the top guys in that division. And losing the last three fights, those are the top guys in the division at the time. Um, you know, I fought the number three, number four guy in the world at heavyweight, and then I just lost the Rosenstrike, and they're the top guys. So if I can't compete with the top guys in that division, I don't see it in my mind as like sticking around in that division, especially when light heavyweight is a possibility. I'm not cutting to make 265. I'm not like one of those giant men who I fought. So I definitely can make it. And we're here June 10th. June 9th. I'll be making 205 and then fighting June 10th.
Okay. All right. I'm glad to hear that, you're able to, actually like cut down the weight that you've been able to like, sustain
Yeah,
your body weight in a good enough amount because I know you said I think it was your first UFC fight. You came in at like 225, something like that.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
so it's just good that you've been able to actually sustain the fact that you can actually still drop down to light heavyweight through those fights in your career because you have had 7 UFC fights at heavyweight and I know a lot of
yeah,
guys once they start getting comfortable at a weight class, they'll start to, go up and maybe start to adjust a
yeah.
little bit more, but it's good that you've been able to keep your weight in a good range.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tall. I'm like 6'3". So I have a good frame for heavyweight. It's just that I wasn't really able to pack on the amount of muscle that I would like to naturally, in between camps and all that. So yeah, so the only other option was to just keep the weight and then just trim the fat. So that's what we've pretty much been doing for this fight. And 205 is going to be it's a little strange to look at yourself in the mirror and see, 205 or like, see where I'm at currently. So yeah, it's good.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, what started your love for MMA in general? What made you want to start training, just love for the sport, whatever it was?
Just watching it on TV. Just wanted to try it out just to see how it was. It was pretty much after high school. I didn't really have any kind of athletic ability, like not an athletic ability, just there was no competitiveness in my life anymore. And that's going from playing sports all the time every year to, doing whatever. So once I got into college, that availability of athletic competition was gone. Went to Penn State, didn't obviously not a D1 athlete in anything. I mean, I played lacrosse in high school,
Okay.
but outside of playing lacrosse, I mean, I could have tried out for like their club team, but that was pretty much it. And then just seeing MMA on TV, watching the UFC, it's just something that intrigued me. And then I just decided, why not? Why not go try it out? I never had any plans to fight. And then
Okay.
once I got in there, I started seeing people who were actually like training in the fight and some of the fighters, some of the guys who were in Bellator at the time. They were some of the guys I was training with were in the Bellator tournament. So that definitely piqued my interest just to seeing them and the type of success that they had. One thing led to another, going from jiu-jitsu to jumping into striking MMA and then taking my first fight. So yeah,
Hmm. Okay. So basically, it was like just you were a fan that wanted to start.
pretty much.
Yeah, you were just a fan
Yeah,
that wanted to start training because you enjoyed the sport. Okay. Yeah. No,
pretty much. Yeah,
I can definitely relate to that. Trust me. I started doing
yeah,
jujitsu because I'm a big fan of the sport as well. So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. No, I don't think anyone has any specific set way they get into MMA. Like I know Pat Brady.
yeah,
Pat Brady never wanted to start fighting professionally. He just
yeah.
wanted to be an amateur. So I wanted to ask you about some of your teammates like Pat Brady and stuff. So how do guys like Pat help you prepare for fights and who else like on your team helps you prepare?
Well, Pat's there all the time. My brother obviously does a guy Ryan Appleby, Kale Blendenbacher. We've actually got like a really good like core group of guys. Mike Kennedy, he's another one. He's there all the time with us. And that's the thing. Like when I was first starting out in MMA, there was really like no heavyweights in the area, so I was the one like traveling, going to different gyms, even if it was just for like one guy or like two guys who like were like heavyweights. Um, and then after that, it's really just kind of been like the heavyweights have really like we found like a core group of guys, and we just kind of like congregated to like our place, Martino's. Yeah, but like those guys are here. They're in the gym day in and day out, really just for my training camps, my brother's training camps, their own training camps. Like we go up to where they're at, they come to us. So it's really like it's a good little family that we got there. Everyone's pulling for each other. Like a guy, Kale is competing on Fury's grappling
Okay.
Saturday, so I'll be there helping him out. So yeah, dude, it's just a big giant family, pretty much.
Yeah, no, you guys seem like you have a really good, like, well knit, tight family over there, and I know that's
Yeah,
kind of like the brotherly love of Philadelphia.
yeah,
That whole thing kind of
yeah,
plays into you guys and everything,
absolutely.
and all you guys have fights coming up too. I know you're fighting, your brother's
Yep,
fighting, Pat's fighting. I don't
yep.
remember who, but there's another guy on your team fighting, and then there's
Matt
so
Matt Turnbull's fighting. Yeah,
That's fighting, and then what's it, and then the grappling match. So
Fury. Yep, yep.
there's just so many guys on your team right now competing. It's really like you guys all kind of just do everything as a group in a sense, and it is cool to see.
Pretty much. Yeah, yeah. It definitely gets chaotic, especially like sparring days or like hard MMA days. Like things get a little crazy in there, but that's just how you get better, and that's it's really good. I'd rather have guys doing that than like you wondering whether or not guys are going to be showing up to practice because they don't have anything scheduled. So it's a good trade off.
Definitely. So has it been harder to train with Pat Brady now that you're a bit smaller? I know he's a big guy.
Nah. I'm still just as strong. I'm still just as strong. The dude, he's heavy. He's heavy. I think he's been eating extra candy. So, but nah, he's Pat's a good training partner. Pat's always there if I need him. He's a good dude. He's always there. If I literally I could call him up right now, be like, "Yo, Pat, we're gonna work out tonight," and he'd be like, "All right," and let me find a babysitter, and I'll do the same thing. Like Pat's a genuine dude. Pat's a really good guy.
Yeah, I know. He's really cool. So you were also a cop.
Yes.
I wanted to ask, did any of the training that you had as a cop, like I know usually they have some kind of martial arts training. Did that like pique your interest in MMA at all? Like were you already
No,
training or
I
what's
was already training.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So
Got it.
so I took my first amateur fight a week before I went into the police academy.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like the training that I was doing in MMA and jiu-jitsu at the time definitely helped me in certain situations while I was working. But for legal reasons and all that stuff, I use I only use techniques that I was shown by the police department while being a police officer. So
Gotcha.
but in no, I mean the good thing about jiu-jitsu and MMA is like you are able to feel when someone's going to shift their weight, move a certain way. Then that's really what really helps you, especially with being a police officer.
Okay. Okay. So you've always been a finisher in your career. You have
Yeah.
13 wins, I want to say. 12 are
Yep.
by knockout, one's by decision. I mean, you've always been finishing fights. But you also have a BJJ black belt. You haven't
Yep.
really shown off that in your career. Do you plan to show
Nope.
that off more at light heavyweight now or
We'll see. I mean,
Okay.
I think so. I mean, just because of the type of athletes and fighters are at 205 compared to heavyweight, right? Heavyweights, it's kind of like one person lands and the fight's over. As far as like light heavyweight, yes, people are still doing that, but there's also better transitions between striking and grappling and all MMA, all aspects of MMA. So, yeah, I definitely think that's going to be a type of you know thing that's going to be shown, but we'll see how things go. You
Okay.
never know.
Okay. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing some of that grappling in
Yeah,
this fight. So
yeah,
don't be scared to use it. That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah, yeah. Right.
But what's it? So you've always finished fights. Has that been something
Yeah.
that you like plan to do coming in your career? You were like, I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna like I know everyone says they plan on finishing fights, but not everyone actually does. You've actually
Yeah.
been able to go in there and finish all these fights. Was that something you planned or is that just how things played out?
It's really just how things played out.
Okay.
I just find ways to actually like be able to touch people and put my hands on people. And as you could tell through the career, that a lot of people can't handle that. So, I mean, I find that to be the best way to win is I'm gonna touch you more than you touch me and more often. And then if you can, withstand that, cool, you can withstand that. But a lot of people haven't. So that's really generally like my mentality for going through things. I think that's winning a fight. Like beating someone up is winning the fight. Like,
Okay.
yeah, there's other criteria for winning a fight. Like, you know, aggression, cage work, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like whether or not you really whoop someone's ass is whether or not you whoop someone's ass or not. So
Well, you said like the scoring and the criteria for all that. You
yeah,
tweeted out back in March that let me find the quote. The state of
okay,
MMA judging is an absolute joke.
yeah, yeah,
One, just elaborate more on that, and two, tell me
okay.
what changes you would make to help fix judging and the controversy that comes with it in this sport.
Uh so that tweet, I forget what fight I was
I
watching.
think it was Cheeto getting a split decision in the Corey
Yes,
Sandhagen fight. I saw the
yeah,
date. Yes.
yeah. So all right, so no disrespect to Cheeto, no disrespect to anyone who steps in the cage, but there are when a fight is happening and you're scoring the fight and when someone's winning and when they're being better than their opponent. And then when you have someone in a judge who is really in the control of quote unquote like your career trajectory and they don't know anything about fighting or anything like that's really scary. And that goes back to like me finishing fights. Like I want to take that away from everyone. Like fighting to me is it's a very personal thing, but it's also you have the ability to win and to lose, and that's all on you.
Yeah.
I would rather, yeah, I would rather be able to finish fights, and I would rather not worry about someone else seeing that I did well enough to win the fight. Like some of these judges, and it's like it's a government job, right? Like
Something like
it's
that.
they're
Yeah.
all yeah they're all athletic commissions. They're all sanctioned by the governing body of the states. So it's really hard to get rid of these judges. I think that a lot of these judges, certain ones in particular, should no longer be judging MMA. They can hang out in boxing. If that's what they want to do, then they can do boxing. But if they don't know anything about MMA, like they should have a test. Like they should be able to perform certain moves, or if we're in a certain position and I'm on top and a guy's on bottom, who's in more danger, who's controlling the thing, like who's controlling the situation, like can they describe that? Can they actually elaborate on those techniques? Like, are they really in danger? Like, if someone just
Got it.
half-ass throws a triangle up, like, are they just holding position or are they actively trying to submit the person? And I think that's something that desperately needs to change, especially in the judging of MMA. Because as of now, I don't trust any judges. I literally don't trust any judges. So I'd rather go out there and finish someone or get finished because the state of judging is atrocious.
Yeah, I agree. One. And so two, basically what you're trying to say is just like very like in-depth tests for judges that like they see a position and they have to be able to identify like how much danger someone's in,
Yeah,
how impactful the position is, and just things like that. Like the judges
yeah,
really need to be understanding what they're looking at, basically, is what you want.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty basic for an MMA fighter, for a person who's doing this combat sport. That'd be like a referee not like in basketball not knowing what like a double dribble is, or like a referee in the NFL not calling someone for going off sides, or
Hmm.
something crazy. Like there's certain positions that they look like that the person's in trouble, but if you actually have been there, you can be like, oh no, that dude's not in trouble, or like they're just throwing a triangle up, or they're just holding position. Like those things make a difference. And if you are able to control someone in the cage, but they're not doing any kind of damage or anything, but then the person has to be able to get off the cage. So it's all subjective, but I think that yeah, I think it's just the scoring and the judges in MMA need to get out. Like
Got it.
it's just like an older generation. Like
Yeah.
it's an older generation of people who, to the best of my knowledge, haven't trained. Maybe like a handful of them, and then you're starting to see some of the like the old heads who fought before, who have all that. They're making that transition,
Yeah.
but you just have to be careful with that.
Hmm.
You just have to have a good unbiased ability.
Yeah, you're talking about like the Frank Triggs and stuff, like the guys who are now.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly. Hmm.
yeah. Like Frank Triggs a ref.
Yep.
I know that. Yeah, but like we could use like some of those guys in like judging.
Hmm.
But like I said, it gets a little tricky. Like if Frank Trigg like knows this dude, I'm not saying that Frank would ever do that, but I'm just
Hmm.
saying like Frank, like those are like the possibilities because we're all human.
No,
So
of
like
course,
if
relationships
yeah,
and like
yeah,
like
of course,
I trained with someone that now coaches this fighter and I'm close with him
Yeah,
and I've trained with him
yeah,
before. And yeah, no, it
yeah,
definitely it
exactly.
gets
Yeah,
a little shaky once you start getting into like former fighters that have possibly have relationships with some of these guys, but
yeah,
also those are the best people to be doing
exactly.
this stuff. So
And that's
that's
yeah,
the only issue. You need to find the right unbiased fighters that are going to be able to
correct,
do it. Yeah, no, I
correct. Yeah,
definitely agree.
yeah,
So you're a very big Philly sports fan, very passionate,
yeah.
all that. So what are some other things you like to do outside of MMA?
Uh I like going to the Phillies games, man. Hanging out. I think the Phillies are like a whole event. Hanging out with the family, doing that stuff. Going to the Flyers games. Outside of like fighting, I'm pretty basic. Yeah, like just really hanging with the family. Not really doing anything crazy besides going to like certain sporting events or other little events around the neighborhood. I'm really like a big like homebody and like a neighborhood dude. So if I don't have to leave my house or like the neighborhood, I really
Not
won't
going to
leave
see
the
you
neighborhood or like
outside. Yep.
no, like Philly's dangerous as shit, and I don't like
Hmm.
want to go out there. Like I don't want to
Just
be like
aimlessly.
associate. Yeah, I don't want to like be like associating with people like just people are reckless out here, man. Like I got no time for that. I don't want to be putting my family in that kind of danger or anything like that. I'm cool with like staying in, watching movies or like playing with my kids, like going for a walk. That's pretty much it.
All right. So you said you had a test cut down to 205. How did you feel
Yeah.
how did you feel at the weight and just tell me about the test cut in itself.
Tesco was great. Did it back like February, end of February time frame, so it was good.
Okay.
The UFC wanted me to make my 205 debut in March. I told them no, strictly because I never made 205 before. I never actually like did the weight cut and anything like that. I didn't want to sign a contract with someone else and then waste their time, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't gonna waste like it's me trying to do something, so it's I'm not wasting my time. It's just me wasting their time. Like if for whatever reason the cut failed or my body didn't respond and I didn't make the fight or like my medicals like I didn't go through with the medicals. Like I would have felt like a jerk. Like I would have felt like that dude just wasted like 8 weeks, 10 weeks, however long his camp was going to be, for him not to be able to perform. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I was cool with that. The test cut went great, rehydration, everything went great. Even after I did like a, obviously weight cut, weigh in, rehydrated the next day. I did like a super heavy sparring session, cardio session. So just a best simulator fight as best as you possibly could. And yeah, I felt great. Felt
Nice.
phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that everything went well, and I'm glad to hear that you're
Yeah.
feeling well going down to 205.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to ask about the losing streak. You're on a three-fight
Okay.
losing streak. You fought three,
Yeah.
obviously very good guys. So
Yep.
what were some of the mental struggles you went through after being on this losing streak and just, not probably, living up to the standards I guess you would have like held for yourself, because
Yeah.
obviously you thought you would have won the fights, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
so you didn't live up to the standard of that. So just tell me about what the mental struggles of that.
It sucks, man. Like losing sucks. Obviously, I just don't like to lose at anything. Um, Really, it could be like an arcade game with my wife. Like we'll be playing like basketball down on the boardwalk. Like I don't want to lose because then she's like on me for the rest of the day that she whooped my ass. So I'm just competitive. I just really, really want to win. But dealing with those, especially everything's now amplified. Um, I lost. I got finished 3 times in front of the world. Everyone's obviously going to see it. Everyone's obviously kick someone when they're down. They're going to be, jumping all over Twitter, Instagram, doing whatever, jumping on that. So it's to be expected. It sucks that
Mhm.
people are like that, but that's what people want to do with themselves. That's what they want to. That's what their time that they want to spend. Yeah. So that obviously sucks, but outside of that, it's okay. It's okay. As far as like physically, I was okay. Like there's nothing physically wrong with me besides being stopped. But mentally, just dealing with that. Obviously, the whole is heavyweight the right thing for me? Is it not the right thing for me? Can I sustain that? Who can I realistically beat at heavyweight? I didn't think that size was going to be a factor, that big of a factor. Clearly, that's a thing. Like I looked up to like the smaller guys, like the Cain Velasquez's, or like the Frankie Edgars, and in his division, they were all smaller guys for their weight division. And
Yes.
you could argue that I was smaller for my weight division, and they were beating the best guys in the world. And I just thought that if I had a super solid work ethic. I was mentally strong and certain things that the weight wouldn't matter. But that weight obviously matters when I'm weighing in at 240 pounds on weigh-in day when I'm like full, like eating right before weigh-ins, and dudes are cutting to
Cutting
make
to
265.
265. Yep.
And then come fight night, they're like 300 pounds, and I'm like still like 240, 245. I'm like, it definitely plays a factor.
Yeah.
Like it may not play as big of a factor in the lower weight classes because those guys just can't put that much weight back on. But for heavyweight, like if you, Derek Lewis was like 265, 266. When I was standing across from the cage from him, he looked every bit about like 290, 300 pounds. Like
Yeah, I could
he's a
imagine.
big man.
I could
Yeah,
imagine.
he's a big man. So yeah, I mean, and then just being realistic. Like I'm not the biggest. I don't hit as hard as those big guys. I hit hard, but not the, like those guys. And just being objective in my skill set. And I just think that I'm better fit for 205.
Yeah, but see
So
that realisticness and that like, that like understanding in yourself that, like that you're being just that realisticness basically is
yeah,
just carrying you through and it's making you probably last longer in your career now that you're not going to be fighting these bigger guys constantly. It's
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
it's going
exactly.
to be
Yeah,
a lot less taxing, it's going to be a lot easier and I mean it just you're not going to be getting as like, if you do get knocked out, it's not going to be as bad because these guys aren't as
yeah,
big, but the chance of
yeah.
getting knocked out's a lot less likely when you're fighting guys who aren't as big. And
You'd hopefully,
and
yeah, hopefully, right?
like
We'll see.
like you said, you think Lewis walked into that fight almost 300 pounds. That
I would assume so. Yeah,
and you're going to be fighting at 205. Obviously, these guys aren't going to be walking in at 205, but there's going to be a massive
yeah,
difference in weight compared to some of these guys that you fought. So it's
yeah,
definitely a big
absolutely.
thing. It's definitely good.
Yeah,
I'm good to see. I'm glad to hear that you're like realistic with yourself, though.
yeah,
A lot of fighters aren't, and they just
yeah,
they cost themselves their careers because they think they can do things that they might not be able to. And I'm just
yeah,
glad to hear that you're being realistic with yourself because a lot of people did feel that you might have been too small for for heavyweight,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
actually like you listened. You didn't like you weren't selfish. You weren't like, damn, like I didn't do it once. I'm gonna keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. You said no. I'm gonna finally drop down and make this right, which
Yeah.
I really can respect. I really appreciate that for
Oh,
you as
thank
a
you for that.
person and you
Appreciate
as
that.
a fighter. It shows how honest you are with yourself and how real you are, but it also shows your motivation to want to be better.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
I want to win. Like there's like I'm not here to like just say that I was in the UFC, you know.
Exactly.
I want to compete. I want to be one of the best guys in the world, the best
Hmm.
guy in the world. Like if I can string a couple wins together, like I'm fighting Roundtree. He's ranked like 13. I
Yep.
fight him, beat him. Okay, I'm top 15 in now light heavyweight, and then we'll see who the UFC offers next.
Yeah.
Like, and then I'm just building, constantly, just trying to
Definitely.
get belt. The end goal is always going to be the belt. It's always going to be, no matter what weight class it is, it's always going to be a championship fight and getting the bit and getting the belt. So,
So you're fighting Khalil Rountree, obviously. Tell me
yep,
what you know about him. He obviously has that like Muay Thai style. He throws a lot of hard
yeah,
leg kicks. Just what are you expecting
yep.
in this fight? What are you preparing for? And what are you looking to do?
That I'm expecting him to be, Muay Thai Khalil Roundtree, how he fought Eric Anders. I'm
Mm-hmm.
expecting that high guard of his, the super active front leg, the super strong and fast leg kicks, body kicks, everything from the southpaw stance. Um, so we'll see, man. We'll see how it goes. I'm expecting that. We'll see if I can keep up. We'll see how his cardio is. Obviously, like I said in the beginning, I'm not the type of guy to work the scoring to my advantage. So I'm going to be trying to finish him. Obviously,
Yeah.
any way I can. I'm going to be putting my hands on him. If I get in close, putting elbows on him, putting knees on him, doing whatever I can to cut him up, to beat him up, to win the fight. And I think that's the key for me is just to like make it dirty, just be like be a bully in there, just to be right in his face. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
All right. I like to hear that. I
Yeah.
can't wait to see this fight. I think it's going to be really really good. You guys
Yeah.
have good styles to match up against each other, and I think you
Yeah.
guys are just going to start throwing in there. I can't wait.
Should be fun.
It should
Should
really
definitely
no,
be
it
fun.
really should be. So
Yeah.
this is a little bit of a weird question, but I
Okay.
wanted to ask: would you rather get $100,000 just flat out get 100K,
Okay.
or have the Eagles win the Super Bowl. But if you get the 100K, they lose the Super Bowl. Like they're in the Super Bowl, right? They win or you lose and they lose and you get 100K. What is the choice?
Oh man, that's a tough one, dude. You can't be flipping me because then if I say one thing, people are gonna fucking hate me. And I go the other way. My wife's gonna be like, "Oh, we could use that money." So, yeah, the birds winning the big thing. Yeah, so I'll deal with my wife later. I'd rather, birds win, do a nice parade. Last time they won, I was working, so I couldn't really enjoy
Nice.
myself. I was just dodging beers as people were throwing them at the bus. So I would more so enjoy that.
Okay.
But don't tell my wife because
I won't
she
say a
could use
word.
that money.
I won't say a word. Don't worry. And
Appreciate
just
it.
a little
Appreciate
bit,
it.
this is the last one. So a little bit
Yeah.
along with that question in a sense, I guess.
Yeah.
The PFL has that $1 million tournament. Obviously, Pat Brady's
Yeah.
fighting in it now, but is that something
Yep.
you've ever been interested in? Is fighting for that $1 million or no? You're
Yeah,
just
man.
yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, who
It's
wouldn't be
it's
interested?
a
I
cool
mean,
idea.
listen, it's cool. It's cool, right? Like, fighting for the UFC is awesome.
Hmm.
Fighting for the premier fighting organization in the world is awesome. Um, but seeing like that tournament format, I don't think that the UFC could pull that off unless unless they like delegated that to like, all right, like each weight class will have a tournament, but the only people who are in the tournament are ranked fighters from number one till number 10
Yeah.
or like 1 to 15 or whatever. I think that's the only way the UFC could do it, especially if they could do the $1 million. I think they should do that. I think us as fighters should be paid a little bit more. Um, I'm happy with what I get paid right now. I wish, obviously, everyone's always going to say that they would want more money
Of
just
course.
because that's just the way we are. Um, but no, it would definitely be cool. It's super taxing. I know, like on your body. I know that that's like a major thing. Like dealing with like training with Pat, getting his mind right for everything, and then realizing like he wins this fight, his next fight is in I think it's 6 weeks or
Yeah.
something like that, and like you see guys who like leg kicks, like you just eat leg kicks like a calf kick, you get like one or two calf kicks and your leg blows up. And you can't like walk for like
Hmm.
2 weeks, and that's 2 weeks out of like training camp
Yep.
for the next
So
fight.
then you have a 3 week
So
training
you're
camp and a 1 week weight cut, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
you're like, dude, so it's like super challenging,
Yeah.
and I think that that's probably the toughest thing, probably in MMA currently is trying to do that tournament.
Hmm.
As far as like a physical standpoint, like the turnaround time, recovery time, making sure that you get in there, you finish the fight as best as you can, as early as you can, with the least amount of injuries as possible. I think but that's super difficult. But yeah, it'd be cool to do something like that. Win $1 million, why not?
Yeah. Why not? Of
Get a
course.
big ass check, get a belt. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, Chris,
Yeah,
I appreciate everything. I thank you for
of course,
coming
man.
on, and I hope to talk to you again soon after a victory.
Same here, bro. Thanks
All
for having
right,
me.
thank
Appreciate it.
you. Of course.